1980, Portogruaro, Italy. A civil construction contractor named Umberto Acco receives a contract from the Libyan government. The job requires moving earth in the Sahara Desert, massive quantities for pipeline corridors or land reclamation. The details are unclear. What is clear is the scale. Libya wants the largest bulldozer ever built. Not a production model off the line, but a custom machine, one of one, assembled from Caterpillar parts and bigger than anything Caterpillar has ever made. Acco says yes. His company has been active since 1945 and registered with the Italian Builders Register since 1965. Nothing in his history prepares him for this. He is going to build a 183-ton bulldozer and a 200-ton motor grader to match. Both machines are for a dictator who will never receive either one. This is the ACCO Super Bulldozer, a behemoth. The largest tracked bulldozer ever built, it has never worked a single day. The specifications are staggering, even by today's standards. 40 feet long from blade tip to ripper, 23 feet wide and over 21 feet tall, about 6.5 meters from ground to cab roof. A machine you could park a city bus behind and lose it completely. Powered by two Caterpillar Model 3408 V8 diesel engines, mounted horizontally opposed, each producing 675 horsepower, for a combined output of 1,350. Not stacked, not in line. Opposed, two engines facing away from each other, sharing the load across a custom hydrostatic transmission that fed two drive sprockets on each track. 4 final drives total, one upper and one lower per side, for maximum torque at minimum speed. This machine was not designed to be fast. It was designed to push the earth out of the way and never stop. The blade alone measures 23 feet wide and 9 feet high, with a capacity of 25.5 cubic meters, wider than a 2-lane road, taller than a basketball hoop, bigger than anything in the Caterpillar catalog then or now, bigger than anything Komatsu makes. The rear ripper stands 10 feet tall, a single massive shank driven by hydraulic rams designed to crack desert hardpan before the blade follows. Custom Burco tracks support the whole thing. For comparison, Caterpillar's largest production bulldozer, the D11, weighs 115 tons and produces 850 horsepower. The Komatsu D575A, the largest production dozer ever made, comes in at 152 tons and 1,150 horsepower. The ACCO outweighs the Bride D575A by 31 tons. It is 60% heavier than the D11, 183 tons, 1,350 horsepower. One machine, one ever built. The contract came from Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's government. Libya in the early 1980s was flush with oil wealth and spending aggressively on infrastructure. Gaddafi's regime had been nationalizing oil production since 1970. By the early 1980s, Libya was producing over 2 million barrels a day and channeling the revenue into massive civil projects. Roads, pipelines, irrigation systems, entire cities being built from desert sand. The country was importing Western engineering expertise and heavy machinery at enormous scale, often through European intermediaries willing to take Libyan money that American firms could not. The specific project for the ACCO machines, whether pipeline irrigation or territorial development, was never publicly confirmed. What mattered to Umberto Acco was the order. Build them big enough to reshape the Sahara itself. He sourced the engines, drivetrain components, and hydraulic systems from Caterpillar. Everything else, the frame, the blade, the ripper, the cab, was fabricated custom in his workshops in Portogruaro, a quiet town in the Veneto region northeast of Venice. A town of 25,000 people, a town known for medieval arcades and the Lamini River, not for building the largest bulldozer in history. The build took roughly a year. By the time the bulldozer was finished, it was the most powerful tracked dozer on Earth. Acco also completed the companion motor grader, an equally monstrous machine, at 200 tons. Both sat in his yard ready for shipping. Then Ronald Reagan signed Executive Order 12543, January 7, 1986. The President of the United States declared a national emergency over Libya's support of international terrorism. Executive Order 12543 banned all exports to Libya, froze Libyan government assets in American banks, and prohibited any American person or company from conducting transactions with the Gaddafi regime. The order took effect at 12:01 a.m. on February 1st. 3 months later, on April 5th, Libyan agents detonated a bomb at the La Belle discotheque in West Berlin. The nightclub was popular with American soldiers stationed in Cold War Germany. The bomb was packed with plastic explosives and shrapnel. 3 people died, 2 American Army sergeants and a Turkish woman. Over 229 were injured. Some lost limbs. 10 days after that, Reagan ordered Operation El Dorado Canyon. AR strikes on Tripoli and Benghazi launched from aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean, and F-111 bombers flying 6,000 miles from England. One bomb hit Gaddafi's personal compound. His adopted daughter was killed. The United Nations followed with its own comprehensive sanctions. And here was the problem for a 183-ton bulldozer sitting in a yard in northern Italy. The machine was built in Europe, but its heart was American. 2 Caterpillar engines, Caterpillar drivetrain, Caterpillar hydraulic components. Under the embargo, any goods containing substantial American parts could not be exported to Libya. The ACCO bulldozer was effectively grounded, not by mechanical failure, not by engineering limitations, by geopolitics. A bomb in a Berlin nightclub killed the contract that built the biggest bulldozer in the world. The bulldozer was reportedly operated once, a single job in southern Italy. Transporting a 183-ton machine overland was prohibitively expensive. Moving it required specialized lowboy trailers, route surveys for bridges and overpasses, police escorts, and weeks of planning. The cost of getting it to a job site exceeded what the job would pay. So the ACCO Super Bulldozer returned to Portogruaro and stayed. For 20 years, Umberto Acco maintained both machines at his facility. The bulldozer and the motor grader sat in his yard, maintained but unused, while the company continued its regular civil construction and road paving work. He kept the engines oiled. He kept the hydraulics sealed. He kept the tracks greased. He was waiting for a new buyer, for a change in sanctions, for some mining operation or desert project somewhere in the world that needed the most powerful bulldozer ever built. That call never came. The problem was not just political, it was practical. No mine or construction site could justify the transport costs. Moving a 183-ton machine across continents required ocean freight, port cranes rated for the load, specialized inland transport, and route engineering for every bridge and overpass along the way. The few operations that might have used it, strip mines in Australia, oil sands in Canada, and open-pit copper mines in Chile, already had fleets of production dozers that were cheaper to service and easier to replace. The ACCO was a monument to what one man could build, but markets do not buy monuments. They buy machines they can maintain. When Umberto Acco died in 2006, the company effectively died with him. His son passed away shortly after. No succession plan, no buyer for the business. No one left who understood what those machines were or what they were worth. In 2005, there had been a corporate reorganization into Empresa Acco Umberto SAS, but it was a formality. The founder's death ended the founder's vision. By 2008, the Acco property in Portogruaro began deteriorating. The workshops and storage yards became a dumping ground for surplus earth-moving equipment from other contractors. Dated excavators and worn-out loaders piled up around the world's largest bulldozer, like scrap gathering around a cathedral. The motor grader had been stripped. It lost its cab, it lost its twin wheels, and it lost its blade. It sat exposed to rain and sun, a 200-ton skeleton slowly being consumed by rust and neglect. The bulldozer was heading toward the same fate, one of the most remarkable pieces of heavy equipment ever fabricated, sitting in an Italian junkyard, waiting for the scrapper's torch. Then, in 2012, a man named Dino Valerio stepped in. Valerio was an old friend and neighbor of Umberto Acco. He was also a collector of historic vehicles who ran a family business called Bejaflor, a nursery and garden center in Portogruaro. After long negotiations, Valerio purchased the bulldozer and arranged for its transport. On May 15, 2012, Mariotto Trasporti loaded the ACCO Super Bulldozer onto a Faymonville Megamax semi-trailer pulled by a Man-Fee 38.460 truck. The convoy measured 20 meters long, 5 meters wide, and 5.3 meters high. The gross combination weight was nearly 149 tons. The bulldozer drove under its own power onto the trailer. After 32 years, the twin Caterpillar engine still ran. The machine crawled across Portogruaro to the Behemoth nursery, where it was parked among Valerio's collection of historic vehicles for public viewing. Valerio himself passed away later that same year, but his family kept the bulldozer. The motor grader was not so lucky. As of the last documented reports, it remained at the abandoned ACCO facility. No cab, no blade, no wheels. A 200-ton skeleton waiting for someone to care. Nobody did. For over a decade, the ACCO Super Bulldozer sat at Behemoth, maintained but dormant. The engines had not fired in years. Then, on October 13, 2024, in Portogruaro, the bulldozer roared back to life. Both Caterpillar engines started after approximately 9 years of dormancy. The event drew local attention and confirmed what enthusiasts had long believed. The machine, despite 44 years of near-total inactivity, was mechanically sound. The engines ran, the hydraulics responded, the tracks held. A 183-ton bulldozer built for a Libyan dictator, blocked by an American president, orphaned by its creator's death, rescued by a nursery owner and stored among garden plants, still worked. It still works. And it still has never done the job it was built for. The ACCO Super Bulldozer is the ultimate buried machine, not buried underground. Buried in circumstance. It was built at the intersection of Italian ambition, Libyan oil money, and American foreign policy. Any one of those forces shifting slightly, and the machine would have worked in the Sahara for decades. Instead, all three collided at exactly the wrong moment. Umberto Acco built the most powerful tracked bulldozer in history, and the world told him he could not deliver it. He maintained it for 20 years, waiting for a buyer, a contract, a change in politics that never came. His company folded. His machines were abandoned. One was saved by a friend with a garden center. The other was left to rot. The largest bulldozer ever built sits today next to potted plants and landscaping supplies in a small Italian town that most people have never heard of. It has 1,350 horsepower and 0 hours of real work on its frame. The engines still run. The blade has never pushed dirt. That is the story of the ACCO Super Bulldozer, the machine that was too big to move, too American to export, and too well built to die. If you are interested in the hidden stories behind machines that changed the world, or never got the chance to, subscribe. We are covering the equipment nobody else talks about.